Welcome everyone. It is Release Day. Thank you for joining us. We have our second batch of trout fry ready to go. We'll go back one screen, please. There we go. My name's Abby Zarnecki. I am the Angler Education Coordinator for the Southern Region of Nevada Department of Wildlife. This is my email and phone number if you have any questions now or in the future. If the students come up with questions later on, just let me know. You can email right now and text this phone number, or I'm sorry, you can text 725-261-3489 if you have any questions. Michelle Lopez will go next with some fish that are also hanging out in the lake here. And then Claire's going to talk about fish food. And we'll release a few more fish and walk around the park and see what birds are out today and what other wildlife. On our way in, we got to see a road runner cross the road, so that was pretty neat. So hopefully he's coming through the brush and we'll get to see him as well. So let's release some trout. Make sure I admitted the teacher. There we go. Thanks for joining again. So here's our overview. And then I'm going to spotlight myself. Shh. Okay, we are spotlighted. Awesome. Thank you guys. You're on it. All right. Show you our bubbler here real quick. Jet. There we go. Here we go. We're going to the water. And here are all the...
I'm not muted. Be quiet.
Go, party.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a bigger trout. Here it is. And they go down to the bottom. They can swim, but they're choosing not to. It's instinct to hide. They're hiding out down there. So I'm going to catch one real quick. There we go. So you all can see him too. Him or her, we're not sure yet. There we go. And this will be the first one we release. Actually, I'm going to see if Michelle can. That way you guys can see him go right into the water. Turn around again. There we go. All right, here he goes for a swim. See him? He took off. All right, let's get another guy in there with him. All right, so we're gonna release a few. There we go. Now we can see him in there. There they all go, see him? All those little black lines are little trout swimming away. The water temperature is the same as the tank. We double checked. There they are.
Be quiet.
So remember, ask any questions anytime. They are at about 1,240 temperature units, which is how we age the trout. They were swimming up around 1,100 too. So some are different ages. We still have some in the tank that'll slowly get released as they start swimming around. Here's a bunch. Sun's coming out. If anyone was on this morning, you missed a very cold field trip morning. Be thankful you were in your comfy classroom or living room. There he is, right in the current. Go, go, go. They're starting to get their little par marks, which are those lines down the side of the trout too. So that's pretty neat to see them grow into their coloring. They're swimming out, just like Nemo. You can hear the ducks in the background, hopefully, and the geese. All right, so we're gonna leave some more for later. And we will switch over to Michelle to talk about the other fish that are in this lake too.
Cool, thank you, Abby. So we just released a couple of trout, then we're gonna cover more of the fish in the pond, and then we'll go into fish food and then some wildlife around the park. All right, and this is a video from Wednesday when we had the tank pretty full, but today's the last day, so there are pretty much no more trout in that tank, and we are releasing them over here at Sunset Pond.
Julia, they were moving and then she stopped the video.
We just released some trout, and now we're gonna go over the fish in the pond. So the Sunset Park Pond is 14 acres, and at its deepest, it is 12 feet. And there are 6 different species of fish in the pond, including our rainbow trout that we just released today. So in addition to our rainbow trout, we also have channel catfish, bluegill sunfish, green sunfish, largemouth bass, and carp. But the carp are invasive. They degrade water quality and destroy the habitat for the other fish and organisms in the water. But all fish have adaptations to survive and reproduce in their habitat. They have different mouths, different body shapes, different coloration and reproduction methods. So if you guys want to play along with our Fashion a Fish activity from home, you can scan this QR code, which brings you to a flippity randomizer, which we'll go over very briefly, and it'll create different random adaptations for those 4 physical features. So first is the mouth of a fish. For example, we have some fish that have sucker-shaped mouths, like those carp. And we also have fish that have extremely large jaws, like bass, and they can surround their prey. And we'll kind of whiz through the next few slides, and this is on YouTube, so you guys can go back and rewind and pause and go through all of the different adaptations and what advantages those give the fish. And they also have different body shapes, like our trout here has a torpedo-shaped body, and that allows them to move pretty fast through the water. While other fish, like the bluegills, has a vertical disc, and that allows them to feed from above and below their bodies. And as for coloration, as you may have noticed, our trouts have a mottled kind of coloration. So they kind of have this olivey green top part with some speckles throughout them. And that allows them to hide in rocks and on the bottom. That way they can kind of hide from those predators and have safety in that way. While other fish like tuna have light colored bellies, because if we look up, we kind of see it's pretty bright. And if you are another predator fish and you are looking up into the sky, all you see is brightness, especially if your prey has a light colored belly. They kind of blend in with their surroundings. So an advantage for having that light colored belly is that predators have difficulty seeing you from below. And reproduction. Many of you guys have followed us throughout our trout in the classroom journey, and you remember that our trout laid eggs. So those eggs are deposited on the bottom so that they are hidden from predators, while other fish have different adaptations for reproduction, like floating eggs or live bearers. And you guys can see in this chart, those have different advantages. So if you didn't catch that QR code earlier, it's up here on the screen again, and that takes you to those different adaptations for their mouths, their body shape, coloration, and reproduction. And you guys can draw the fish that you randomly come up with and explain why those features are advantageous to that fish in that habitat. So we're gonna bring it over to Claire, and she's gonna talk to us about fish food.
Hello, everyone. So what the heck are our fish eating? So just like us, we start off eating a different type of food as youngsters than we do as adults. So we'll talk about some of the things that the fish in this pond are eating and how that changes over time. So when we talk about the foods that are being eaten, we can think of these in terms of a food web. So if we take a look at our example on this slide, we can see that at the bottom of the food web, we have really, really tiny organisms. We have things like algae and detritus, and these could be living or non-living things that will then be eaten by the next layer. So if we follow these arrows, we can see that our algae is eaten by things like black flies or mayflies. And we follow our arrows even more, we can see that those are being eaten by more organisms. On the right-hand side, we have our trout's food web. And we can see that it's eating both fish and some of these other organisms. Now, when we talk about these organisms, we can break them down into macro and micro. So you can think of macroorganisms as things that are big enough for you to see with the naked eye. So we don't need any help to see these things. If you look around your classroom or your home right now, you're seeing macro things. We can also think of them in terms of microorganisms. And these are things that are so small and tiny that we need the help of microscopes to see them. So in our example here on the right-hand side, we can see some of that perhaps algae or detritus, and we're seeing these single cells of them. So what we're gonna do is think about the different types of invertebrates that are living in our pond. So what is an invertebrate? If you feel along your back, you can feel all the little bumps of your spine. And that's because we have a backbone, but an invertebrate doesn't have a backbone. So things like worms or grasshoppers or snails, all of these different things are invertebrates. And invertebrates play a huge part in the food web of our pond. So can you think of any other invertebrates? Think about things that just don't have that backbone. And like I said, invertebrates play a huge part in our food web, but they're also important for other reasons. They can help maintain the water quality because they are eating things that are going to be kind of muddying and murkying those waters. Invertebrates are also important because they are bioindicators. And this means that they can help us see if our water is healthy or an ecosystem is healthy. There are certain types of invertebrates that can only take a little tiny amount of pollution in the water. But then there are others who can stand a lot of pollution in the water. So if we have this wide variety of invertebrates in a body of water, especially those who can't take a lot of pollution, then we can kind of infer that our water is a healthy body of water. Invertebrates are also important because they become food for other animals. And again, these could be the teensy tiny microorganisms all the way up to our macroorganisms. Now we are going to take a look, and we will be using the help of a microscope, and we're going to see what kind of stuff is in our pond water. So I've taken samples of the water, and I've done what's called a wet mount. So this is when you utilize that water to see a specimen. Now, some of these are a little bit of a mystery, and others are prepared slides where we already know what they are. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to our microscope camera here. And I'm going to ask if Lauren could spotlight that one for us. And we're going to see what we can see on our slide. All right, so let me see if I can zoom for you guys.
The little ones. It's the same, so tap it one more.
Bear with us, guys. We're just seeing if we can get that bigger. Awesome. Okay, so I've got this microscope attachment. And the first thing that we'll be looking at is kind of this mystery item that we had pulled from the water. So I'll move it around here. Now this one to me kind of seems like it's just a little bit of detritus. So remember, detritus is just kind of the junk that's floating around. It could be plant material. It could be maybe little bits of other organisms that are left over. So that one came directly out of this pond. The next thing that we'll be looking at is a different type of macroorganism. This is from a gnat. And we mounted him up. And if you think about a gnat, you know how tiny they are, right? But what we're doing here is we're using that microscope so we can see him just a little bit closer. So we can see all the veins in his wings. We can see his legs and the rest of his body. So small invertebrates like this offer a really good food source to our smaller and juvenile fish. Now this one is not the whole part of a dragonfly, but we have just the dragonfly's leg. So we're moving up in size, and we can see how using this microscope brings that into a better view for us. And finally, we're going to take a look at a fish scale. So this I thought was just really cool. You can see all that detail, and this is just one individual tiny scale. All right, so we've taken a look at some of the different things that the fish in this pond are eating, and we've used our microscope to take a better look at some of those invertebrates. So I think we are ready for our second wave of trout to go out. So bear with us, we're gonna switch screens and get some of those out there.
All right, welcome back to the lake. Hope you guys learned some stuff, and if you have any questions, please let us know. So we have some really cool birds we're going to show, and actually before they disappear, let's look at the ducks and geese that are out here, and then we'll go back to some trout releasing. We have some friends joining us late. They have a 125 meet for their class. Oh, what did they do? Trying to switch. There we go. There we go. Sorry about the close-up of my face there. All right. So right out here, we have some really cool ducks. A ring neck cleanance, neck. And we have, sorry, I moved a little fast there. Redheads. And the males. Do you guys know what the males are called? Males are drakes and females are hens. Here's some closer ones. There we go. Some ringnecks, golden eyes out here today. And these guys are the cutest. They always hang out for us for our field trips. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard. Can you guys guess which one the female is? The female will have brown, and the male has a little extra coloring. So he has a green head for a mallard and the red head for a redhead. But those colors attract the female, and it also shows their dominance in their species. We have a bunch of ducks and geese over here. Hopefully we'll get a visit from some other geese. And do you know what the most popular goose down here is that migrates all the way from Canada? Canadian geese. All right, so hopefully we'll see. We had some rare ones here that only are here for migration, but I think they went underwater to get some aquatic plants to eat. All right, so switch back to me and your fish, and let's see some more of your fish go swimming away. Oh, actually, I got that sticker, so give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go dark so you don't have to see my hands shaking around. Thank you, Lauren. So on our slides for you too, here are what the eggs looked like when we got them all the way from the National Fish Hatchery. So if you've been following my process, January 26th, actually. So how many months has that been? So we've had these guys for 2 months, almost 1,300 temperature units. And that's how old they are to swim away. I'm gonna turn this around. There you go, so you can see the awesome lake and our bucket of friends in here. So it is cold water. This bucket is amazing because it's insulated. So Michelle's gonna get a few. There we go. And we're gonna let them swim off with the rest of their friends. for two. Yes. Natural instinct to swim away, so that's good. So remember, we had a lot of really good success, but so thanks for joining some new students. We are releasing some of your friends. Let me show there's a bunch. There's a few. She got a good group of them. All right, so we're gonna let these little friends go. Oh, he's feisty, jumping out already. There he goes. He's really fast. We are here at the lake. Just want to show you again. You're just joining us. We're at Sunset Park. They have this new gazebo here, right over the water. We have a little bobber out there. We are fishing just in case a carp wanted to jump on. My fishing line's attacking the camera. All right, so here goes a bunch of guys. We could spend all day releasing our 500 trout. Oh, there's a bunch. Good one. So a lot of them were hanging out on the bottom of the transportation tank with bubblers, acting like they weren't going to swim off, but they're doing great. And they'll go down into the dark a little bit where it's a little cooler. We have this guy too from earlier today. Circle back around. And you can see some have colors and some do not. Some are a little lighter. That's just where they were in the tank. Some hang in the rocks, some were up higher. And they blend in with the environment, right? Action. All right. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll go look at some ducks here in a second. You're using the net just a little easier. And you can see they swim just fine. This one's hungry, trying to eat some plants already. And this one is hiding out along the brick for cover. All right, so let's go Trout. Will the trout be able to survive? We learned that hatchery trout so some will survive, and honestly, we're releasing 500, and it isn't part of the stocking program. You're right. So these guys are more for you to learn from than anything. They are made just for trout in the classroom. And I don't know if you guys were able to learn that even wild trout, when they're born in the wild, very low success with them. Right? So we're releasing 500 out of 750 eggs. That's pretty good. So they have a head start, but it is just warmer here, so it's a little different. Let me get back to the question. How long are the trout when they're fully grown? So they keep growing. Rainbow trout are not as big as like lake trout. So they're about 12 inches a year. Oh yeah. And we gotta go see this guy before he swims off. And what was the other question? Disappeared. Yeah, hatchery trout are a little different because we are, you know, we make them survive. They do way better thanks to us. But while Michelle keeps releasing them, is the pond, next question, is the pond water healthy for the trout? Did we do a chemical test? Yes, we did check. And it is very good. There's a lot of healthy bacteria. So there's a lot of green algae from on the rocks here. And that's what they'll eat. That's what the ducks eat. Our water in southern Nevada is a little bit rougher. So it is more minerally, but the trout are okay with it. We stock them and they get really big by the end of the season. So it's more the heat that we're gonna hope they're gonna learn to hide in the shadows so that they stay nice and cool. But we're gonna have to do a cleanup before we leave. Got some garbage left over. Somebody didn't clean up. But do you guys know what this guy is? Someone released their pet. He's not supposed to be here. It's not a desert tortoise. See the red lines on his cheeks? Or maybe up by his ears? I don't know if you see that at the pet store. Like a red ear cider, you can see his foot here. He's let me get pretty close, which is cool. Little tail there. And so I'm a good few feet back. I'm not touching them because they do carry disease, so you want to be careful with that. But you can even see his little claws. There's this guy. There we go. All right, it's the lake full of predators. Kind of. So for a little trout, yes. Oh, here's one. Here's a predator for you. So we have a duck out there called a cormorant. He just went diving for fish. We'll wait for him to come back up. And Mr. Mallard are swimming out there too. So I do want to show you the cormorants. They are fish birds. In Asia, they are used to catch fish. Oh, I'm sorry. My voice is breaking up because of the wind. So let me pull this back up. There we go. Hopefully you can hear me and I'll try to cover it up with my hair. That usually helps. All right, yeah, it got windy there for a second. So the cormorant just dove down for some more fish. They are used in Asia to catch fish. They're put on leashes and they get fed fish and then they share with their owner. But they are federally protected, so they do out here they migrate. So they spend their winters down in the Mojave Desert, and then they head north towards Canada.
All right, if you guys want to go, you can go because you got 5 minutes to your next class. Get your Lion King packet done, turned in. I will see you on Tuesday.
We have a canvas back over there too. Trying to get closer for you. I don't have my good lens on.
Is the bird on the food
some
web?
ruddy ducks with their blue beaks. Some anglers fishing, casting their lures. You can see all those trees. You guys know what these trees are, the big ones with long leaves. Giving us some shade today. Hopefully you can hear me better. The mic is in my ear, so. Oh, and these guys are domestic. So unfortunately, someone released their pet, which doesn't give them the best survival rate. So these are called Muscovy. You can see their bumpy red nose and the mark above the beak. They're black and white. So they are not native to the area, but they do find their home here at Sunset Park. We have a mallard, male and female, and a Muscovy male and female hanging out together today. So I'll turn it back. All right, you can see our setup. There's Claire cleaning up. And this is that gazebo. Miss, your teacher brings you out to for field trips. I'll try to go a little slower. Sorry, there we go. We got the lake. Pretty big lake, huh? And there's an island for the ducks out there. Try to zoom. There we go. There's the island. All right. Oh, and we get to see our plate. We call them different ducks. There's an orange one, which is Southwest. White and blue is usually Delta. Just kidding. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. And we're going to clean up. And that's it for the day. All of our trout have been released. But have a really good spring break. Thank you, Lauren, Michelle, and Claire for your help today. It was awesome. Hope you all enjoyed it at home. And until next year, have a good spring break for Clark County. And we'll see you later.